Hi, I'm Chris, Manitoba Pulse and Soybean Growers On-Farm Network agronomist. In this video, I will be going over the results from our dry bean foliar fungicide trials that were held in 2024, and I'll let you know about a disease risk assessment tool that can be used in fungicide application decisions. The goal of these on-farm trials is to examine the agronomic and economic impacts of fungicide applications in dry bean. Will a fungicide application reduce white mold, which is the main yield-robbing disease in dry beans? And will it protect yield and provide a return on investment? One of the reasons this trial is so important is because we're applying fungicide as a preventative tool to manage white mold. There are other diseases controlled and on the fungicide label, but white mold can really be quite devastating in dry beans. It's our main disease target. Once we're starting to see symptoms of infection, it's already too late. So our fungicide applications are purely preventative, and we are targeting the early flowering or pin bean stage, which is R2, and it's pictured above. This is to protect flower blooms and foliage. We want to know what is our likelihood of a response to this preventative application, and how can we fine-tune when we're most likely to see a response to fungicide. So how can we decide if a fungicide application is warranted in dry beans? There are a few things to consider ahead of an application, and as we add more environments and fields to this dataset, we'll be fine-tuning these recommendations. Assessing the risk of disease development comes down to if we have the right conditions conducive for disease development, and how likely is it going to be present. So what is the amount of rainfall leading up to flowering, and along with warm and humid conditions? How dense is the crop canopy? What is the row width, plant population, and what is the nitrogen fertility? And these factors can all play into the disease development. Those are all influencing the environment for the disease develop. If the disease is likely to be present in the field, white mold has a really wide host range. Think to the last crop in the field and what was the white mold pressure like in that crop. Now for that tool I mentioned. We do have a dry bean fungicide decision worksheet, and it is available on the Manitoba Pulse and Soybean Growers Bean app and on our website, or by using the QR code shown. So you fill out the worksheet and you will get a final score. This score will give you an estimate of the risk of disease developing, which may help guide your application decisions. So give it a try. So now on to the trials held in the province in 2024. We had 3 trials comparing a single application of foliar fungicide to untreated, and all applications took place at the R2 or early pin bean stage, which is pictured. We also had 1 trial comparing a single application to a double application. The first application was at R2, and the second application occurred at R4. For dry bean diseases, primarily for white mold development, July rainfall is key when the crop is starting to flower. July rainfall was dropping below normal at 3 out of the 4 sites, but conditions were still conducive to disease development, and this was due to lots of rainfall in May and June, and we saw this in our disease ratings. The fungicide product choice is up to the farmer, and they're applied following label recommendations. For the single versus no application trials at dry bean fungicide 01 and dry bean fungicide 02, Zolera FX was used, and at dry bean fungicide 04, Diax was used. These were all compared a fungicide to no fungicide. For the double versus single trial, the first application was Proline Gold, and the second application was with Revi Pro. At one site, dry bean fungicide 02, we had higher white mold incidence with 38 to 43% of plants having white mold, and at dry bean fungicide 03, we found a low incidence of white mold in both treatments. The white mold we did find at those sites had a low to moderate severity, and there were no significant differences between treatments in white mold ratings. White mold was not present at the other two sites. But yields ended up being pretty even between treatments at all the sites, and there were no significant yield responses to fungicide applications in 2024. Because yields were not significantly different, there is no increased income to offset the cost of the fungicide. So as a result, profit per acre declined by the cost of the fungicide application, which was about $20 to $25 per acre in this case. So in summary, a single application of foliar fungicide did not significantly improve dry bean yield compared to no application, and a double application of foliar fungicide did not significantly improve dry bean yield compared to a single application. The trial sites received less than normal amounts of rainfall in July, but excess rain in May and June meant conditions were still conducive for disease. But we still did not see a yield response to the fungicide treatments this year, and that may be seen as a bit of a mystery, but all I can say is fungicide applications do not work every single year on every single field, but we do know that fungicides generally do work in the right conditions. These trials are being continued to capture more environments and field conditions. If you're interested in learning more about these results, every trial result is available in the On-Farm Network database available at manitobapulse.ca or by following the QR code shown. If you're interested in participating in a trial, please get in touch with me. Here's my contact information. And thanks for listening today. I've been Chris. Follow us on social media for more information or check out our website.